We are live here.
We made it.
We made it. Okay. I'm Natasha.
I'm Quasi-Matt.
So excited to be here. We are going to have a great show for you today. And I just need to say, we have two interviews that we have coming up on this episode.
Yes.
Jon Egan, Chief Product Officer at Polygon Labs. He's in for our cash tips segment with Polygon, where we talk about the future of finance. Great interview with him. Really enjoy talking to him. And then Elena Wagenmans, who is the CEO and founder of Taya, which is an AI wearable that went viral recently. I have to be honest, I have to come clean. The plan was to have some like theatrics and pretend like we had recorded that all in one fell swoop.
Right. One fell swoop.
Swoop.
Don't really understand that phrase now that I'm thinking about it, but
it doesn't make sense at all.
Like a bird. I don't
Swooping? And there was a whole thing. And then today I was like, okay, I got to bring that outfit so we can do that.
Oh yeah. You were doing like psyops. Like exactly. You were architecting the narrative for real.
For real. And then I was like, woke up and realized like my hair's curly, my hair was straight. Like I can't.
Like there are differences. Sorry. Yeah.
This isn't Hollywood. This is a live stream.
Right. Wait, and I got a haircut in between then and now. So like it would have been like, it would have been funny though for us to just pretend like thinking we got them. Like it's like switching back and forth between different outfits, haircuts, hairstyles.
It's like that when you're a kid and you play like what's different, people would need to be like circle
spot the difference.
Spot the difference.
In every clip, every cut,
So anyway, those are pre-recorded. You will be watching them later in this stream, and they're great. And I think you all will enjoy it. Having said that, we would like to thank our two incredible partners, Vercel and Polygon Labs. I'm going to tell you about Vercel, and then we can talk about Polygon later in this episode. If you are a startup building with agents, look no further than Vercel. Their agentic infrastructure gives you and your agents everything you need to ship. And if you're supported by one of their hundreds of VC or accelerator partners, you have access to exclusive discounts and benefits. Deploy faster, scale globally, and ship world-class AI products. Check out the platform thousands of companies use from day zero to IPO at vercel.com/startups. Also, next week, they are having their ship event here in New York. I believe they might be sold out, but if they do have tickets, you should attend. They just did it in London. It's very cool, and that team's very cool, and the boys will be there. So make that happen. Okay, we have some topics to discuss.
So much to discuss these days.
There's a lot happening on the timeline. I think that you should start.
Okay, let's start with some frugality.
Great.
Some strange relationships to money, I would say.
Oh.
So I found this post on Twitter, but it's originally from Reddit. I would never use Reddit, so I have to find it on Twitter.
You don't use Reddit?
No, I don't like have a Reddit
really
account.
Out of character, I feel like.
You think I'm a Redditor?
Totally. I just feel like
What subreddits do you think I would go on? Like r/menswear advice.
I think r/AI is my boyfriend. Like girls talking about their AI boyfriends. I could see you thinking that's funny.
Yeah.
You starting one called Micro Neighborhoods. Like I think there's I see you more actually as an author of.
Oh, that's crazy. I've never done it. Because the reason I don't really like Reddit is because it's not easy to clout farm it, because yes, you can have a profile picture and a username, but it's not really like attached to your identity. And I think there are a lot of people who are doing amazing work in curating Reddit for other platforms. And so I just rely on their curatorial acumen to provide me with the best content possible.
I think that's really wise.
And that's what we're doing really now is we're curating the curation.
Okay.
To bring to you this gorgeous post from r/dating advice.
Okay.
How to find frugal, like-minded women. I am 33 years old and I am very frugal. I dislike working and have a very flexible reselling job where I find free dumpster items and sell them on eBay. I make around $30,000 a year after taxes, spend around $15,000, and plan to retire in 2 years living on $15,000 per year from stocks. I feel like my lifestyle doesn't allow for much success within the dating world though. I have never had a girlfriend. I don't have a car. Too expensive. I keep the AC set at 85 during the summers to save on electricity. The most expensive thing I do is travel internationally twice a year using credit card points. It probably costs like $1,000 in total because I stay in hostels and home cook my meals while walking a lot to see the architecture. Do you have any suggestions or advice?
I'm scandalized by this. Like, truly scandalized by this. I'm sorry.
There's a lot going on.
There is so much going on here. First of all, what credit card points? $15,000 a year. Okay, you have.
Oh, I didn't even think about that.
Like, you have no credit card points. Like,
I have seen people that have like laptops running in their apartment to farm credit card points somehow. There's like some various scams you could do. And I do feel like someone who's on this wave might be doing something like that.
For sure.
I mean, yeah, they must be, because how else would you have the points? You're right.
Okay. I don't know why, but this like upsets me. Like,
Yeah.
I feel bothered by this.
Okay.
And that's like not fair, because this is this person's choice and their life. They should do whatever they want.
Oh,
like,
I disagree. I don't think they should do whatever they want. I think that this person actually like hates themselves in this like subconscious way, and they need to address that. Like, I actually don't really think that this is like good. Even if they think they want it, like on some deeper level, like they are like self-harming.
It's masochistic.
Essentially. Yeah. But
you're
also
garbage. Like, you're going through the garbage and reselling on eBay? I'm sorry, that's not a job.
Well, that's like, that like category of behavior is fine to me. It's like, you're just not making enough money doing that. Like, you need to like, how are you doing all that and only making 30K? Like, I feel like if you're doing that, you need to go to the bougie neighborhoods.
Yes.
You know, go to Park Slope. I mean, this person obviously doesn't live in like around here.
Also,
but
they
like,
don't have a card. How are they transporting the goods? Because
like invest in yourself. Like, get the car so you can get the expensive furniture.
Be an entrepreneur.
You can sell it. Yeah.
Yes.
But I want to start with the number. Like, before we really even get into the commentary, the numbers to me make almost no sense. Okay, so this person is saying they make 30K after taxes and they spend around 15K a year. So they save 15K a year, but yet they plan to retire in 2 years. And so they're going to save 30K on top of what they already have, right? And that is somehow going to allow them to be sustained from stocks.
Yeah.
But in order for that to be the case,
what is their portfolio?
Yeah, like, say they're like getting a 10% return. They already have almost $300,000 in order to like have the amount of money that they need to get. Oh no, wait, they said they need 15,000 a year. So say they have 150K. Anyway, getting the extra, working an extra 2 years to get 30K
doesn't make sense.
It's just like, why? Like,
doesn't make sense.
You already have the pot, basically.
I also like, from stocks, I'm sorry, like this feels dishonest to me. There's some dishonesty here that's happening. Like, it's just like, what is happening?
Well, I think there's like this cult, like what does FIRE stand for? Fixed income retire early. It's like, these people who are just trying to like retire as early as possible, which that I find relatable. Like, there is some stuff in here that's relatable to me. Like, I hate working.
Okay,
like,
that's interesting.
I am willing to spend less to not work to some extent. Like, I'm not like frugal like this, but like I understand the general like ideology. I think these people are making pessimistic assumptions about the returns that they can get on their money, and then they're like calculating some baseline from there, which I think like that makes sense.
Okay.
But I'm more just like, you obviously have money if you are going to retire in 2 years. Like,
yes.
And like the mindset that you need to save all of the money instead of investing it into making money faster. You know what I mean? Like, it is almost never the case as like a normal person that the best use of your money is to like just buy assets. It's usually the case that you should trust yourself to blow the money up faster than the market and like invest it in yourself or something that you are doing.
Right. Also, okay, I feel like we can take the overlay down because, okay, the most wealth creation that any person has, average person has, is their career. Okay.
Yeah.
Is their 9 to 5. And I know that themselves. That's a better way of saying it. And this is just like, this person's not betting on themselves at all. Anyway, I don't like this person. I have to say it. I don't like it. I love money. I love spending money. I love making money. This person and I have nothing to talk about. That's how I feel. So I am not going to give them any good advice about how to date frugally.
Right. Well, I think the interesting thing about their question is that it's just, do you have any suggestions or advice? You know, there's not really any like domain or like, hey, I'm willing to do this, but I'm not willing to do this. And to me, when I read this, I'm like, okay, my advice to you is like, stop being so frugal. Like, I think.
Oh, interesting. You're not even going to give the dating advice.
Well, because,
life advice.
Okay, it's like this. How I think about. For some reason, when I read this, I think about disordered eating because it's about like consumptive activity. So like to me, it's a lot of people sort of debate what is disordered eating. Like if you don't eat a lot, is that disordered eating? If you have like a lot of dietary restrictions, is that disordered eating? To me, disordered eating is just like, does your relationship with food interrupt the rest of your life and your social life? Like, does it damage your relationships with other people?
Oh, I like
so
that
I would
definition.
say the same thing about your relationship with money. Like, if you want to understand if your relationship with money is problematic, look at how it impacts your relationships. If you are unable to successfully date because of the relationship that you have to money, you have a disordered relationship to money. Like, you're allowing money to get into like get in the way of your interpersonal relationships, which is the point of life.
Great take.
And so like, why are you doing that? Maybe just like, don't do that.
Don't do
maybe
that.
That's the problem. Like maybe the problem is that you dive into the dumpster and not that like women don't want to talk to you. Like maybe we need to start at step 0.
Okay. What did people say? Did people give advice? They were like, go to the park?
Well, see, I encountered this as a screenshot on Twitter, so I actually have no clue what anyone said. This is the problem.
Okay. I feel like the advice would be go to the park. Take them to the park. Take them to the Metropolitan Museum of Art.
Oh, so you're accepting the frugal premise and you're giving, that's really generous of you.
I reject the frugal
but you're
premise.
willing to give like advice that is rooted in that premise. Which,
yes. I am.
How kind.
I guess that's like, maybe a people-pleasing like instinct in me. You're just like, I reject the premise entirely. This is advice. This is like good advice for you.
Well, that was my initial reaction. But let me think about what I would say to this person. If they're going to be frugal.
Frugal dating advice is you plan a picnic, you go to the Metropolitan Museum of Art and you do a donation-based art museum tour. And third is like you make dinner for them at your home.
Right.
Which I don't know that this guy is living in an apartment that I can't imagine living on $15,000. Oh, he's not in New York.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I doubt it. Like he's not specifying.
Okay. This whole time I was thinking this person's living in New York and I was just like, how are they living on that amount of money in New York City? But,
yeah. They're probably in New Mexico. Like, I don't know. But I think of these people as like their identity is wrapped up in this like frugal lifestyle, because to me, it's like, if you think about dating and frugality and not wanting to work, clearly the optimal strategy is yassify yourself as much as possible, go date the richest person you can find, and then you really don't have to work.
Oh,
if you were really about it, if you were really against working and you didn't want to get a job and you wanted to retire, that's the way that you would be on.
That's the path. That's the path.
And so like, look, come on, like you, like just say you hate yourself. Just say you want to like self-harm. Like it's just such a convoluted way.
Be honest about that. Okay, wow. Really interesting. If people have thoughts on frugal dating, drop them in the comments. I'm sorry if I upset anybody, but whatever. Okay. Next, I'm going to give a little update on Monday, June 22nd. It was announced that Google invested $75 million into A24, the independent film studio A24. And the Wall Street Journal broke the news. The reason that they're doing this is for new AI research. So the partnership is around AI research. And essentially, Google's DeepMind AI unit is leveraging A24's like studio creation and film and media prowess and development to build new tools for media production and distribution. Thoughts? $75 million investment.
I like it. I feel like it's sort of what A16Z New Media like thinks it is. Like you're piggybacking off of something that is already relevant media and you're like learning from them.
Like a
like a lamprey or a leech, perhaps.
Yes,
wait, is that actually what you're thinking? Okay.
Yes.
Well, no, it's like obviously symbiotic, right? Like they get a bunch, like A24 gets a bunch of money, and Google gets like insight into how media production
win-win.
works. Yeah, like it like seems genuinely good for both sides. I wonder, like, I feel like a lot of the A24 heads that I know are generally, and by that I mean like fans of the media that they create, the films that they create, are like sort of anti-AI. And so I kind of want to see like how people are going to react to this, I guess. Because like, I think it's cool. I just like want there to be more media, but I don't want it to be slop. But I would assume that's the point, is like, hey, let's figure out how to use AI to make films that are not slop.
So okay, great. A few things in this. One, you are correct. People who are film people are upset. They're like, this is the worst thing that's ever happened.
Right.
And I think that comes from anti-AI sentiment. But
totally.
I think that you like what A24 has built its reputation on is like excellence and incredible filmmaking and like a really high bar for aesthetics and for vibes. And so if there were one studio that I would want to see like flush with cash to explore these tools, it would be them. They've also been making some big moves. So A24 revenue has more than doubled over the past 2 years. The studio has been increasing film budgets and expanded into unscripted television, music, and theater. Their theater in the West Village, Cherry Lane, I saw play there. It's amazing. It's an incredible experience. And it's like the more money that this like, I think A24 is like an institution. It's like,
yeah, totally.
Like so foundational to this industry, to like the film industry, I think, and especially like new and young film makers. And so I think it's net positive. The other thing is A24 raised a round of funding in 2024 from Thrive. And overall, I believe the valuation of the studio is like 3.5 billion at this point. I need to fact check that, but that is the take. So, or that's what's up. Interesting stuff.
Yeah. I mean, in general, I'm going to clap anytime like a huge tech company gives someone money to do art.
Yeah.
Like,
totally.
Like kind of regardless of what it's for. I'm just like, yeah, like I feel like
good job.
Great use of money. Like you have it. Let's throw it at making some films. Like,
I totally agree.
I want another Obsession to come as quickly as possible.
Okay. I'm so glad you mentioned it. Unfortunately, A24 did not do Obsession. They did Backrooms.
See, I don't even know what's going on.
I wasn't calling you out.
Was it? Wait, did Neon do it or is it no?
No, I think it was like Warner Brothers. Like I think it was like weird, random Paramount something.
Yeah, I'm not paying attention to directors, studios, all that. I just watched the damn film.
Totally. I think that's a pure way to approach it. I saw Obsession last night and perfect.
Amazing.
No notes. So good.
A lot of my like big film head friends really didn't like it. I feel like they're clocking things that I'm not clocking. Like people will be like, the acting performance was this or the writing was bad. And I'm like, I don't know. Like I would never think about that.
Yes.
I'm just not like that. Mm-hmm. Like I would just enjoy the film. Like I allow myself to enjoy things without over analyzing them. That's like famously sort of my thing. And I liked it because it was the most physical body reaction that I've ever had to a movie ever.
Yes, I totally agree.
Because to me, it was like horrific in this like social way. Like it wasn't like, oh, here's a scary ghost. It was like, oh my God, like this is a social interaction that I can see myself being on either side of. There was like it was a mixture of like cringe and horror that felt like so real to me because I'm very like physically impacted by cringe. Like I am like, I like cannot look at things if I think that they're like cringy.
Yeah.
And so it was like horrific in this like new way to me that I thought was really cool.
I like legitimately screamed several times and like at one point was like in my friend's lap because I was just like, I can't actually watch this. Like, and one of those was horror, but the other was social, like a social moment where I was just like, this bitch is being crazy. And like, I can't actually even look at it in the eyeballs. Like it's too much for me. Yeah. So anyway, people should go see it. And I hope that what this means, a $75 million investment in A24 means more movies that I love and unscripted, A24 unscripted. I know that's probably like documentary, but like A24 Love Island, A24 reality show. I want to see it.
Use the check. Yeah, let's get it started.
Let's go. Okay, we have 2 more quick hits that we're gonna do here.
Yeah.
You go next.
Okay, let me find my notes. Okay, so I was inspired by this tweet that I saw from Pre Desai. And wait, let me pull up the tweet.
You're about to come in with something that's gonna upset people.
Open link. Okay, that was really complicated. They need to figure out how to make that a better experience. Okay. It just says like child-free millennials are spending their kid money on dog travel, which like this is a documented thing. Like we know this, like people think that they can't afford a kid and so they have a dog instead. Mm-hmm. And I think like for me, I I particularly think this is like an issue when you're sharing a lot of space with people. So basically in New York, it's like a big issue to have a dog to me. Like I think it's inappropriate to have a dog for many reasons. I was just talking about, I think like if you're choosing between having a kid and having a dog, the benefits of having a kid are many, really. Like the child will join the workforce. They will develop friendships with people. They will have bi-directional relationships with people. Like that's amazing.
What you're saying is a dog can't have bi-directional relationships?
Yes. Yeah, like literally. I think that having a dog is the result of maladaptation where you need some sort of emotional engagement or attention from something else. But the only way that you are able to get that in a way that is satisfactory to you is by coercing an animal into like saying, hey, like I will give you food, like I give you food, your entire life depends on me. And so like therefore, and also we bred you for thousands of years to like seem like you love me or whatever. And then you have them fill this like emotional hole that you have in your heart. And it's really a demonstration of an inability to just go out into the world and have like a fruitful relationship with another human being. And so when I see someone that has a dog, I'm kind of like, well, you're extremely poorly adjusted to society and should perhaps be ostracized.
Okay, I feel so strongly about this. And I will say, Wes is in the studio with us. He has a dog. And I think he's extremely well adjusted. So he is left out of everything that we're saying here, clearly, right?
I'm just saying stuff.
Okay. I don't like dogs. I don't like animals. I am really clean and I find them really dirty. I don't want slobber. I don't want to fur. It just rubs me the wrong way. I think that the dog epidemic in New York City is adjacent to the loneliness epidemic, more so than an inability to, kind of similarly, but like an inability to make friends. But I think it's pervasive because people in New York are so lonely. But then I think the trickle-down economics of it is all of these issues then result where like people have a dog, so they go out less. People have a dog, so they don't date as much because they have something that like soothes them at night. And then third, there's shit all over the street. And I just, that upsets me to my absolute core. So 3 for 3, I hate it.
Yeah, I think the like public space being dedicated to dogs is really a lot. For me, like when I go to the park and there is like 10% of the park is dedicated to a dog park, I'm like, guys, there's people here. Like there are often like a lot of people crammed into the park because we're starved for green space in some areas of the city. And then now all of a sudden, like 50% of the park literally smells like feces because there are dogs running around. And then 10% of the park is like dedicated to the actual space for the dogs themselves. I'm kind of like, what are we doing? Like literally, what are we doing? It's just not about the dogs.
I do also think that the economics of it is, I understand people feeling like they don't make enough money to have a kid. But I do think people underestimate how much money they spend on having a dog. Like I think people think it's going to be, but like people get into all of a sudden it's pet insurance and they're buying the farmer's dog or whatever. They're like, it's pricey. There's dog care when you go out of town, like all the stuff. It's crazy. Okay. I have a full circle moment with the Reddit of it all.
Okay.
I have 2 friends who have dogs and I like both of their dogs. Jack's great. Scout, great dogs. I don't hang out with them very much. Jack, I do spend some time with it, but whatever. My friend who lives in Chicago has a dog.
Okay.
And this dog has been totally additive to her life. I can't remember which neighborhood, maybe Logan Square. I don't know. She has no social media. The only social media she has is Reddit. She loves Reddit. She goes on Reddit all the time. She walks her dog every day for like an hour in this park, comes back. And one day she opens Reddit, goes to her local neighborhood Reddit.
And it's a picture of her.
And someone says, to the woman who is walking the chow chow in Logan Square Park, fuck you. And let me tell you, this is the nicest woman you will, like, this woman is the sweetest woman in the world. And she was like,
well, what was she doing?
Then the woman goes on to say, you were pulling that dog through the park and all it was trying to do was sniff around and have a nice time. The walk is for the dog, not for you. And then my friend, who I will not dox her name, is horrified. She's like, oh my God, like was I pulling my sweet dog who I love, who I take care of every day,
Right.
like through this park in this horrible way? So she spirals. Then she's like, I need to apologize to this woman. I need this woman to know that my dog is happy and that I was in a rush that specific day. I walk this dog every day for an hour. But then she was like, there's a mismatch of power dynamics here because this woman knows who I am, but I don't know who this woman is. And if you are willing to go onto a Reddit and tell someone, fuck you, that you have never met and you don't know, do you want a direct dynamic with that woman?
Right.
And then she was
like, what does it accomplish?
I know it was coming from a place of guilt. It was coming from a place of guilt. Yeah. And then also, as we just discussed prior to the stream starting, people get really upset about their dogs. It's a trigger area. So she was like, this could blow up. Like this specific Reddit thread, if I respond and then she responds, then people start weighing in, it could really blow up. And then people are seeing me in Logan Square with my chow chow. And then all of a sudden I'm identifiable.
Yeah. So she just let it, she just
let it die. But now I'm talking about it. So maybe it'll.
Yeah. You're like, I need more people to be mad at my friend.
Anyway, I think people care a lot about their dogs, and you know what? We should, whatever. I'm not going to qualify every time I qualify, and it's fine. People don't need my permission to have dogs.
Yeah, unfortunately. I do think there is like like you're talking about an angle that I have not really thought about, which is that dogs sort of lead to more loneliness if you are like going home to take care of them or whatever. I think that's interesting because I feel like I know people, especially guys, who will like get a dog essentially for lead gen, because if you walk around like lead generation, because if you walk around with a dog, like people will approach you and like want to interact with your dog. And so in a way it's like inviting a certain type of social interaction.
Okay.
But I do think it's like, okay, if you're going to connect with people in public over something, like it would be nice if it was a little bit more than like the existence of an animal. But I will say, like, I'm not really connecting with people in public that often. So like maybe they're eating.
I do. Okay. It's funny because whenever I see a man with a dog, I just assume that's his girlfriend's dog. Like always. I'm just like,
oh, so it doesn't. Okay.
It doesn't do it. Also,
you're like, oh, he's in a relationship.
He's in a relationship. Yeah. I'm just like, okay, he's been sent out.
Got it.
I have a friend who they went back and forth, married couple. They went back and forth whether they were going to get a dog or not. They kept talking about it for years. They had kids. They were like, this is the moment to get a dog. And so, but what they ended up doing, which I think is really smart, they lived in New York City, is they did not have a dog. But at like the worst times in the evening or the day or whatever, they would be like, they're laying in bed. It's 11:30. It's snowing outside. One of them would turn to the other one, and it was a running bit, and say, hey, can you take the dog out? And it was like a way for them to be like, really look in the eye, who would go take the dog out right now? Or like they're making dinner. The kids are going crazy. Hey, the dog needs to go out. And they would just say this over and over and over again. And then they were like, it genuinely removed all desire for us to have a dog. So I think if people are considering getting a dog, you should do that. You should have a little alarm on your phone that's like, take the dog out, and see if like in that moment you would want to go take the dog out or not.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I'm into that. I do feel like people just know, like if you grew up with a dog, you want a dog. Like I feel like my aversion to dogs is like largely rooted in the fact that I've like never lived with a dog.
I grew up with a dog.
Oh, well, theory destroyed. Okay, never mind.
Okay, we're gonna hit one last thing very quickly, and then we can close out here. So also Wall Street Journal doing some incredible journalism.
They're on top of it.
They really are. Who would have thought? This weekend, I think this past weekend, this came out, a expose about Polymarket. We are huge fans of Polymarket, so caveating with that. A few things here that were somewhat of a smoking gun in this expose. It's Polymarket is paying scores of offshore clippers to quietly promote its international exchange in the US, though it's banned from letting Americans trade on the platform. One thing I just want to like debunk right there. Okay, that's just like UGC network. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but like that's not smoking gun.
Yeah.
They should have left that out as like the first thing.
Right. It's like, oh, here's an expose. They're actually like really good at marketing.
No, 100%. Okay, this one's more damning. Polymarket made dummy websites mirroring the real site, then paid creators to use the fake site and pretend to win thousands. That is deceptive and I think unethical. So smoking gun. That's the smoking gun to me.
Yeah. I mean, like, I do agree that it's unethical, but I also kind of feel like it's like par for the course. Like, it's not like I never hear that someone in marketing and advertising is lying and go, oh my God, how could they? It's like, yeah, that's like the point. Like, literally, the point of an advertisement is essentially to mislead everyone.
Totally.
So I'm like, yes, but also like, it's not really, I don't blame Polymarket. I'm like, why do we not have more? Like, why is there not like some sort of policing? Yeah, exactly. Like, exactly. I blame society. Like, sounds convenient, but that's just where I am at this point.
That's just the rules of the road.
Right.
Okay. 2 other ones here. Creators altered headlines and used outdated footage to imply they won bets, even when they had lost. Bad. Polymarket paid Adin Ross multiple millions to promote the site. That's just marketing also. So like the last one and the first one, nothing to see there, but the middle 2, tough. And then one other thing here in this, there's an overlay that I need to read. That's like 70% of the money that was made was, what is it? I think it's this one. Yeah. Okay. In 70% of the videos, the creators placed a bet. Clues in the videos showed that none of the bets, 1.9 million in total, were real. So out of 1,000 videos promoting the platform, 70 of these were done using a fake Polymarket website, fake bets, fake prices, fake success, very similar to what casinos are doing with streamers earning fake jackpot prizes. So I don't love explicit lying. I get that's just like marketing 101, but I feel what I think is upsetting to me about it is Adin Ross, and as an example, is marketing to a very, very young audience.
Right.
And if you're like being like, I made $100,000 saying that Donald Trump is going to say McDonald's in his address, and that is a lot, all fabricated and a lie.
Yeah.
And then you're pushing it through channels where you're literally putting it in front of minors. That feels problematic to me.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of my issue with it is that we haven't decided, like, there's not consensus on like what advertising is supposed to be. Like, there are still people who think like, oh, advertising is, you know, ethical in this or that way. But that, like, my understanding of advertising is like, oh, they will literally say anything to move the needle. Like that, I almost assume that they're lying.
Yeah.
And I think like either of those, what I would want out of advertising and marketing in general is predictability, or like, you know, like, what do we actually mean when we advertise or market something?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay with either. Like, we can either be like, hey, we're actually going to be like incredibly honest, or we're just going to let anything happen and then consumer trust will just go to 0 and then no one listens anymore.
Yeah.
Like, either of those are like totally fine outcomes to me. I think that the problem is the ambiguity of the intention of these like marketers and advertisers.
I agree. And I think if you're a minor listening, you should just assume any marketing you ever see is a lie.
Yeah.
That's like the best way to sort of, if I had a child,
literally,
I would train them up in that way. Everything you see is a lie.
Yeah. If someone's trying to sell you something, they're lying, basically.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Would you like to tell us about our partner, Polygon?
And I can say a few words about Polygon.
Then we'll go into our 2 interviews that were previously recorded. We're just coming clean about that.
Okay, every company moving money globally hits the same walls. Legacy rails are slow, expensive, and built for a pre-internet world. Stablecoin rails are fast, but they're fragmented across vendors and don't talk to each other. The plumbing to deliver on the promise of stablecoins hasn't existed. Polygon's open money stack is fixing that. One unified stack that puts global money movement onto proven rails that move at the speed of the internet. And why Polygon? Because they've been moving money. Check out the link in the chat to learn more. We love Polygon.
We love Polygon. We love Polygon. We are going to go into a segment with them momentarily with Jon Egan, their chief product officer, very legitimate guy for our Cash Tips segment. Before I do that, I just want to give a quick shout out. A new episode is coming out this week for Show Me Your Stack. It will be coming out later this week, I think Friday. Go follow at Jules Rosenberg on Twitter and Julia-Rosenberg on YouTube to find those new drops that are happening and see a great episode this week. And you can also look at the catalog of her great episodes of Show Me Your Stack, brought to you by Vercel. Okay, enjoy the rest of the show, we're done.
Peace and blessings.
This is Cash Tips, a show from Polygon Labs and Boys Club, real conversations with the people building the future of finance. We're here with Jon Egan, Chief Product Officer at Polygon Labs, former head of crypto at Stripe, product lead at Meta before that, YC alum, very impressive resume you've got here, and super excited to talk with you about Polygon and the open money stack.
Appreciate it. Excited to be here.
Okay, so tell us about Polygon's vision for the open money stack.
Yeah, so this is really exciting. Mark and Sandeep put out kind of the initial vision back in, I want to say January or February of this year. And it's really an expansion of Polygon's goals, right? So everyone sort of knows Polygon as the chain, this like early stage, scaling layer for Ethereum. We were really successful at that back in the bad old days when regular like layer ones were doing, like 12 TPS, right? We had to scale that aggressively. These days the chain, it's up to like 5,000 TPS, which pushes up against, what Visa and MasterCard do anyway. Now, it's not really the story anymore. The story is how do we move all money on chain? Because it's one thing to have kind of a closed ecosystem, a separate ecosystem from like the fiat world. It's a very different thing to actually migrate the fiat world on. So the open money stack is really our vision for how we execute against that mission. Right? You can't just bring all money on chain by having a place for it to go. You have to provide the full stack of capabilities. And that means sort of at the base layer, the chain itself, the settlement layer. One layer above that, you need a payments network. How are you going to connect the chain to the fiat world? And that's like a regulated layer. So how do you go move money from your bank account on chain? There's a layer above that, which is all about like financial services. So, okay, how do you store that money in a wallet? How do you get yield from that money? How do you move that money between chains? There's a layer there. And then at the top, there's sort of a UX layer, which is now how do you go interact with all this stuff? And that can mean sort of how do you manage your treasury directly if you're a company, or how do you just sort of manage virtual accounts and ramps and orchestration between all these other layers and services. And so the open money stack is a consolidated vision. It's a singular API. It's a single UX that lets any company move and store money at will, on or off chain. And we provide that as a directly integratable system. So you don't have to go 7 places. We like to think about it as if you wanted to like vibe code a neobank, in 30 minutes, the open money stack will let you do that because a neobank takes all of those different layers in order to work successfully. I'm sorry, I keep like whacking the mic.
The mic stands are weak. You're a little taller than most of our guests.
It's okay.
Put it up here.
Yeah, most of our guests,
I'm entirely Italian on my mom's side, and
I
can't stop doing this. I have to like sit on my hands.
No, a lot of the guests, their like feet dangle, and so I'm like, we got a tall guy here, no problem.
I heard someone say there's a theory in crypto, like the average height is
tall?
higher.
It's high.
If you go to like crypto events,
really,
people are like unusually tall. You're tall.
That's
like,
funny. I am tall.
People are unusually tall.
Wow, that's funny.
And so I go and I'm used to sort of looking up people's noses, and you go to like crypto events, and it's all kind of eye level. It's really cool.
There needs to be a study around what draws people, tall people to crypto.
I feel like it.
Okay, so open money stack, the vision sort of was rolled out in January. I think the response was really great. A lot of people understood the need for this fully integrated stack that was coming from a sort of storied in crypto blockchain like Polygon. What, for all the people who have sort of seen that announcement in January, what actually works today that didn't exist then? Or what's integrated today that didn't exist?
So how far have we gone along the roadmap?
Yeah, exactly.
Bringing this larger vision. Yeah, so we just announced technical preview earlier this week. And technical preview comes with kind of the base capabilities for the OMS. So number one, it comes with regulated ramps, primarily in the US. So if you're operating for banks, so if you're operating a business and you're relying on movement from money stored in a bank account today, and you need to get that money on chain, it's still hard. You'd think this space would have been solved by now. We've had a lot of kind of players in it. The reality is the kind of onboarding, the KYB process, the ability to handle large volumes, still a major barrier. So first and foremost, regulated bank ramps, live already. Second is custodial wallets. Okay. So storing that money that you've brought on chain before you maybe disperse it or otherwise, live already on the OMS today. And then on the kind of back end, we call it orchestration, which is what is the intent system for defining where that money is going to go to.
Okay.
So being able to not just say, hey, I want to ramp some money, but hey, I want to start with a bank account and I want to end with, crypto on Tron,
Okay. Yeah.
at the end point. How do you orchestrate through?
Okay.
So all these capabilities, and we kind of call that distribution kind of on the far end, like how does the money, sort of end up in the right place?
Okay.
All of those things live. And the feature level, we kind of call those virtual accounts, which is banks onto crypto. We call that deposit addresses, which is the development of a blockchain address that then distributes out into fiat if you want to go the other way, and then the wallet side.
Okay. A lot. We've got a lot here, which is great to hear. Are you seeing from partners and customers a priority around that, an area where they have the biggest questions? Like, what are you seeing as you're actually having these conversations?
Yeah, lots of questions about sort of how you link these things together.
Okay.
Right? Because today, the world looks very much like a bunch of different service providers offering these capabilities, right? So maybe you go to Fireblocks to get your wallet. Maybe you go to Bridge to get your ramp, right? And then you've got to connect these two things together. And in a regulated world, the hard part about that is really the KYB process.
Yeah.
So how do you sort of prove that you're allowed to move this money around, who you are, so that you stay on the right side of regulation, especially if you're operating in the US.
Yeah.
That's actually quite hard. You have to store that KYB information in one place for one service provider, then you've got to translate it and move it to the other place. And the reality of the way the regulations are written is no one really wants to share this information. Right? You give your data to one service provider, they don't really want to transmit it to another. And even if they do, the other side says, well, we don't really know where this came from. We don't trust this other provider. So a big part of this that people are asking us for is just the consolidation layer, which is KYB once, move money forever. And if you can do those two things, you really unlock a lot of capabilities for remittance companies, for example, who spend a lot of their time just doing the orchestration and wiring up between these different service providers.
Yeah, there's like a insane efficiency that happens when all those little like ands and buts in between get removed, kind of.
That's right.
Okay. Great. So
I can give you sort of an example. If you're like a company like a Flutterwave, who uses Polygon for payouts.
Okay.
Flutterwave is sort of like the Stripe of Africa, right? So for them to be able to operate successfully, right, they need that kind of endpoint, which is users who want to receive dollars on chain, and they use Polygon for that today. In the future, they can also use kind of the ramp side and only have to KYB once as a business.
Wow. Okay. That's awesome. Okay. So Polygon acquired CoinMe and Sequence earlier this year. CoinMe comes with money transmitter licenses in 48 states, plus tens of thousands of physical cash locations. You were sort of talking about that licensing earlier. Sequence brought wallet infrastructure, cross-chain routing to the table. My understanding of this is that someone could walk into a grocery store with a $20 bill and walk out with USDC. Okay, great. I'm glad I'm tracking. So who is that person, and why does Polygon want to own the most analog part of the stack?
So the cash ramp side of this always gets a lot of engagement when we're talking to users about it. I think it's really unique. And I think it's very close to kind of the ethos of blockchain, right? In its earliest phase. We think of it as cash.
Yeah.
We really think of it as digital cash. It's funny, we don't really think about bank accounts as digital cash, but we really think about crypto as digital cash. And so the translation layer makes more sense. You expect to be able to walk in with $20 and come out with $20 in USDC or Tether or otherwise.
Yeah.
And so through the acquisition of CoinMe, we have access to about 50,000 locations in the US. I think Walgreens, I think soon CVS, a couple of other places that would just be across the street. In fact, if you opened up the app today and you kind of looked, you'd probably find one right nearby.
Wow.
And so the customer for that tends to be sort of your average consumer money mover.
Okay.
Right. So certainly if you're like a corporation managing your treasury, you're probably not walking into Walgreens with a bag full of cash to do your money movement. But if you're trying to send money home, if you're an immigrant to the US and you're trying to get money back home to Africa or Latin America or anywhere else, it's likely that your family in those countries is capable of receiving stablecoins and then using them locally, because there's deep liquidity, especially on Polygon in these regions. Latin America is a great example, right? Latin America is 55% of all stablecoin usage, and it's 75% on Polygon.
Okay.
So if you're sending USDT on Polygon to Latin America, it's usable.
Yeah.
It's not okay, now I've got another problem. How do I get it out of there?
Totally.
But you do have a problem in the US, which is great. How do you get that money there? And so your options today are very, kind of old fashioned. It's what do you have? Western Union, which has a whole fee structure around it, is pretty complicated to use, and, quite frankly, requires additional hops and complications. But if you could just walk into a Walgreens, with the money that you have that you need to send home for food, for rent, for whatever, it's a very viable pathway
Yeah.
for, your average worker who maybe doesn't want to drive to the local Western Union, doesn't want to go through those hoops, doesn't want to, fill out. Have you ever done Western Union, by the way?
No, there's a MoneyGram. Oh, actually, no, I have done it. There's one in Greenpoint, and I did it one time. I can't remember. It was like a weird thing for like a deposit on an apartment or something.
It's
like so
super
random.
strange, right?
Yeah.
Like, and the way they do it, I don't know how the location you did it, but like what I've seen it done is they run the whole thing on those receipt printers.
Yes.
Right? It's like, okay, it's like getting,
so
remember the old
analog.
memes about CVS receipts where they're like, you can make a raincoat out of them because you get so many. That's what it's like trying to move money on these systems.
Totally.
You walk in, you say, hey, I'm going to send some money like to Brazil. And they say, great, no problem. And then they print like, 15 meters worth of
With
receipt.
like,
And you're supposed to read it.
the little things at the top, I feel like. Maybe I'm just imagining that. But when you have like you're like, it's perforated in some way. Yeah.
And you're supposed to read it and you're supposed to sign it.
Insane.
And then they fold it up and staple it and keep a copy. And then they print another one. And then you're supposed to store that somewhere. Like
So
this
wild.
whole process is insane.
Yeah.
And so the idea that you could just go to an app, tell it, hey, I'm going to go drop $20 off. And I need that to come back to my app, right? As like Tether. And then I can finish that process. Then I can walk away. And then outside of that transaction of on-ramping, I can then send that money home at will, keep some of it for myself, use some of it later, pay my friends with it. You kind of get that magic of once the money's on chain, you can do anything with it. And so I think especially for cross-border money movement, it's a really great use case. And then really anyone else who's trying to like make the money productive. Maybe you don't have a bank account, but you want to generate yield on the money that you're saving. That's pretty complicated. Cash doesn't generate yield. If anything, it gets less valuable every day. If you on-ramp that money as like an individual at a Walgreens, you can then move it towards DeFi. Bring it to Katana or something, and you can start to make yield on it very quickly. So I think like those are two really kind of common examples I think we see of cash. I think we'll see more of it, in the future. We've got sort of a new generation coming up that uses debit cards more, does actually engage with cash again in a way that maybe millennials kind of stopped doing.
Yeah.
So I think there's sort of this kind of like wave that comes and goes. And we're definitely seeing that increase again.
Yeah, it's so interesting because, working in tech and sort of seeing I'm like, we're having conversations around like AGI, but like there's so much of the world that is so old school. And I feel like when an area where I see it most clearly is in money and in payments.
Yes.
And I feel like you can feel really removed from that when you're, using Apple Pay or whatever it may be. But then there's these moments where I'm sure on like the business to business side, you're feeling that every day. And then there's like very cute moments as a consumer where you're like, oh wait, like my friend who lives in like Portugal, I like cannot figure out how to pay them for this dinner that we just had.
That's right.
And there's those moments where you're sort of brought back to, okay, we've got like a lot of things that we got to do to get to a future that we're all sort of like talking about. And I think Polygon is like really thinking about it in this very smart way around both for businesses and for consumers as well.
Money's everywhere. And like the constraining factor has been that money's not really code. Like this is why code was so successful. The internet was so successful at like making information free, is the flexibility of that code layer lets you sort of mutate it to be whatever you need it to be and have that creativity. We've just never had that with money. And I think we've been carrying this flag in blockchain for a long time. That like, well, blockchain is that
beating our
programmable
chests
money.
about it. Yeah,
that's right. But what's been missing has been the interconnectivity of that sort of programmable layer with everything else, which is where the money already is. You and I, our money's probably mostly in the bank. And it should be easy to get it on chain. And once it's on chain, then it's sort of free. And I think AI, I think we'll talk about it later, but like is one of the core kind of use cases for cash in the same way that it is for sort of individuals, who are operating without bank accounts.
Yeah. Okay, I want to talk about stablecoins. Stablecoin payments went from sort of this like contrarian take a few years ago to very much the consensus as of this year, I feel. Tempo, Circle, everyone's pivoting to like payments, RWAs. It's like all the things that I'm hearing at every conference I'm going to. So you're 9 months in at Polygon. What have you learned about payments, about these new sort of payments, RWAs, things that everybody's talking about, stablecoins, that maybe these new people who are just entering the space don't know?
I mean, okay, so here's the joke, right? The joke is like, who would have thought that, the like killer use case for blockchain was money?
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what stablecoins are. Stablecoins are like the admission that the actual best use of this technology is in fact money. And the reality is we already have a concept mentally of what money is, right? Money is tied to fiat values.
Yeah.
And stablecoins, I think, were this very simple idea that was, it's funny because stablecoins came they didn't come at the beginning of the RWA. Like people started with things like property.
Right.
Remember that? It was like, let's go buy property in Montana.
Yeah.
That was like part one. Because
like Doge. That was another. Yeah.
Because we wanted it, not that we wanted it to be complicated, but we really wanted to lever all the flexibility of what the blockchain was.
Yeah.
But similar to how NFTs kind of turned out to work as a method of showing ownership. I think stable coins are just this very practical thing that people can understand. It's the dollar you've already got, but it's on chain and now it's better.
Yeah.
It's like an easy story to tell. Not like it's land, you don't really understand land. Let's talk about how land works. Let's talk about deeds and ownership. Let's talk about title search and title insurance.
Yeah.
So what's the Y Combinator joke, right? Make something people want.
Yeah.
I think the reality is people wanted money on chain and always have. And stable coins were the very kind of clear way to do that. And we'll probably see evolutions of stable coins, productive stable coins, investable stable coins. But for now, you go talk to someone who's not in crypto, and the idea of stablecoins is very approachable.
Yeah.
And approachability when you're trying to do things like bring large organizations on chain is important. Approachability when you're trying to bring people who, maybe aren't excited about the technology, on chain is really important.
Yeah.
So you could say it's no surprise it worked out, but it did feel like when it was happening, and I remember I was at Stripe, while it was kind of starting to take hold, this sort of shift away from maybe you'd on-ramp to Bitcoin to maybe you'd on-ramp to stablecoins. It kind of happened quietly. I remember going to I think it was an ETHCC conference, and all anyone talked about at coffee shops was stablecoins.
Okay.
But it wasn't on stage at all. Wasn't the thing that we were talking about publicly yet. And so, that's always the sign of something that's good. Right. It wasn't pressed into existence.
Right.
It kind of very organically grew in popularity. And that's the best kind of thing, right? Because it'll continue to grow, no matter what. And it has continued to grow. So, when you kind of look at it through that lens, clearly, stable coins are going to be the most interesting thing for a while.
Yeah.
Great. What do people not know? What was the question about?
Yeah, the new incumbents who are kind of starting to get their feet wet.
Yeah.
What are some of the things, either mistakes sounds really negative, but some of the surprising things that they'll find?
Yeah, so if you're coming into this space, especially if you're building a company in this space, I think the most common mistake I see is that there's always been this divide between people in sort of TradFi and DeFi. And they have a very strange perception of each other. If you're in crypto, you probably perceive the banking world as particularly orderly, well buttoned up,
yes, totally.
Very well controlled, predictable, and you sort of think of them as, we're code is law. But they're probably contract is law, and everything written down, things are law, and law.
They're imagining
law is law.
Western Union.
That's right. That's right. They're
ways,
imagining sort of what they've seen in movies.
Yeah,
totally. What is a banker? And then similarly, people in TradFi, sort of perceive crypto folks as just cowboys.
Yes.
In the extreme sense, kind of in the sort of comical version, of the cowboy, and that we will make things more risk forward than they need to be, and we'll do silly things just because why wouldn't we, get the 6 shooters out. I think that perception prevents a lot of integration between these two systems.
Yeah.
Because the reality is people who work in TradFi are interested in exploring new opportunities for money and finding new ways to make things work and, enabling access to parts of the stack that they control. And it's true that people in crypto are looking for ways to interact honestly with the regulated system, right? Versus trying to cheat their way into it or hack their way into it. And the companies that don't figure that out never really make the bridge between the two. And by failing to do that, they just never achieve the scale of the goal that they're trying to reach. They'll find some ways to move a little bit of money or bring a small part of their business on chain. But the people who really do a good job of merging the two understand that you can safely store large sums of money on chain without taking large risk, right? And similarly, you can rely on TradFi parts of the stack for money movement without giving up everything about your ethos for how you think money ought to be on chain or otherwise. So, it's rare that the great opportunities are in the blurry middle between two industries.
Yeah.
But I think that's really where it is here. And the people who I see succeeding in the space, when I was at Stripe, Bridge was an example, are the ones who are willing to kind of reach across the aisle.
Yeah.
And Polygon, I think, is incredibly well positioned for this because we have the existing commercial relationships. Just from being in the space for so long, we've got probably the best BD team in the business. And we've been working with people from a chain standpoint for so long.
Yeah.
So it's hard to do. it's easy to explain. It's like, oh, just reach across the aisle, do both. But it's
Yeah.
actually very difficult for people both who are service providers building in the space and for like companies who want to take advantage of those service providers to kind of get in the correct mental state.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting you talking about sort of, it's funny that the product market fit of crypto is money.
Yeah.
And part of that being how that's translatable and how it's understandable to anybody. And when I think about institutions, large organizations, so much of working at a big company is operationalizing and communicating. And that is, I would say, 60%, 70% of people's job is just like, here's information that we're doing. Here's how we're communicating that information. Now go operationalize that. And if you have something that people can clearly understand how powerful that is. And so it's actually such a bull case for crypto that this thing has become really simplified into like, this is money. And people can be like, oh, okay, I get that. And how much that will, I think, exponentially very quickly move a lot of these organizations on chain in a powerful way.
100%. It's very hard to explain what a blockchain is.
Very tough.
To someone who doesn't think about it. It's very easy to say, wouldn't it be cool if your money was global?
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could build a neobank in an afternoon? Wouldn't it be cool? You know, these are things that I think can take root as like memes. If you've worked in like large corporations before, like the concept of a meme internally is actually really important.
Yes.
Like generating this basic meme around capability for the thing you're trying to champion is what stablecoins really give.
Yeah.
I think the blockchain space that it hasn't had before.
Yeah, absolutely. This is just an aside, but it was really funny the other day. I was checking out on Delta and booking a flight, and it gave me two options. It was like pay with miles or pay with what I thought said USDC. And I took a screenshot and I sent it to Dina, my co-founder, and I was like, whoa, like Delta on chain. She was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, USDC. And she was like, that just says USD. And I was like, wow, full brain rot. I'm like so in the stablecoin game that I was like, right. Okay.
What was the solution? Did they have like a cash? Did you like put $100 bills into the machine if you wanted to spend dollars?
I think that I was splitting the payment between my miles and like paying with my credit card.
Oh, just like oh, okay. So
exactly.
you just showed that as dollars.
But
That's hilarious.
It was really funny that that my brain went there. Okay.
But wouldn't it be cool if like even if you were doing that with your credit card, right? Like stablecoins can represent in two ways, which is the other fun thing. They can be a front-facing consumer decision that you make,
right?
Or you might pick USD, pay with a credit card. And then Delta might get that settled faster because Visa and MasterCard work with Polygon for like instant settlement. And because that settles faster, like Delta gets more free cash and opportunity, and hopefully your cost of a flight goes down.
Yeah, nice. I love that.
Yeah, isn't that cool how like you could be right. You could be like, this is USD.
It could be happening.
And in the back end, you actually are using some stable coins.
Yeah,
I
totally.
think that's like kind of cool.
Nice, I love that. Okay, so Polygon's vision docs, they're talking about AI agents moving money with no human intervention. Is agentic payment real volume you can see on chain today? Or is this kind of like dreaming, hoping? Where are we at?
It's so young.
Okay.
Like it's so incredibly young. The entire AI space is still pretty young. But like commerce on AI, it's like the internet in the 90s. You know, I'm sure we've got some Jeff Bezos character out there, you know, looking at AI with some incredible idea about like what the best consumer use case is going to be for commerce on AI. But today it's mostly experimentation.
Yeah.
And so, you know, Polygon, we like to be early. So we're the #1 chain for X402. We're part of the X402 Foundation. I think we're like 90% of X402.
Wow.
If you go pull up the charts, it's really cool. We didn't really start trying until like January.
Wow.
And so the charts are like no purple, no purple, no purple, purple, you know, just like flying through the whole thing. And so, you know, I think like it's important to be early, and it's important to work with the people who are just starting to figure out like what commerce means. I think the biggest barrier to kind of blockchain adoption in AI agents is that agents aren't really autonomous yet.
Right.
You know, like most people's experience with an agent is more like a chatbot experience, and it's like human in the loop stuff. And when you're human in the loop, you know, it's not a big jump to say, oh, I have to pull out my credit card, because that's what I would have done at Amazon anyway. But where we're going towards, and I think OpenClaw was like an early indication of this. Where we're going is that these agents start to operate independently. And we're starting to see it with search already. You know, when I need to go and find, say, the t-shirt I was gonna buy on Amazon, like instead, what I'll probably do is human in the loop side, ask my agent, you know, I wanna go buy a t-shirt. Yeah. Agent will go out and work with another agent that's a broker that will like find the cheapest t-shirt version, like with shipping that can get to you, or maybe it's next door if you need it tomorrow. What shop can you go to? You know, route you there. And then like there might be this kind of like Cambrian explosion of like other agents that like get notified and like go out and search. And like in that world, you need like rapid money movement because each like sub agent, you've got to pay for those kind of sub tokens.
Right.
And to do that, you need rapid settlement. It can't just be credit. You can't like distribute a credit card payment out to like 1,000 intermediary agents that all sort of rely on getting their like quarter of a penny in the way that sort of credit cards do today. You need like instant settlement so that these agents can kind of run and operate. That will probably cause like a step function in commerce, what we would call commerce, but agent to agent commerce.
Okay.
And when that happens, I would expect the transaction sort of count on agents to like rapidly exceed that from humans, just because now it's like code moving money around. It also is because agents like work best when they can unbundle transactions because you want all the sort of micro actions to be taken over by individually intelligent agents.
Yeah.
Right. And today most payments are sort of bundled. When you pay for something on Amazon, you're actually paying for a lot of things. You're paying for Amazon, you're paying for the shipping, you're paying for like the underlying SaaS services that Amazon is using. It's actually pretty inefficient, right? That you like make this payment and then there's like a business redistributing like costs monthly. Like you can imagine a world where that's all quite real time. And if that's all real time, you get competition at every layer from an agent standpoint, which is competition at the storefront, competition at the like discovery of a fulfillment center, competition at the shipping, everything kind of can get distributed and the amount of business opportunity it creates is greater. And if that's true, and you like 10x the amount of competition happening like at the business layer for every consumer transaction, then you get sort of this incredible explosion in the economy that's really positive.
Wow.
And so you can look at this through two lenses. One is, okay, that's actually really good for the idea of like new businesses and like new employment, which I think everyone kind of has a negative opinion on AI for right now. But you can also look at it for, okay, now there's 10x more transactions happening, right? And all of those transactions need to happen in a real-time settled way for those agents to really be functional.
Wow, cool. I really love that. There's like a vision for the future that you just described that is more jobs and things get cheaper. And I think that is a lot of what people are hoping will happen. And that the way you just laid it out, I'm like, oh, I can see that. I can see it in a way that I don't think you see on the timeline a lot. You see the other story a lot.
You can only see it on Twitter. And it's coming in ways that aren't even being kind of lifted yet.
Right.
I keep saying this, like build a neobank in 30 minutes. But there's an interesting question. Like if you can build your own neobank in 30 minutes, a lot of these other services you might historically go to, you might not need to anymore. Right. Because you get your own. You get one that's just for you.
Yeah.
Or maybe one of those companies will build it. But like regardless, like that kind of specialization is really what AI enables. And specialization equals greater economic opportunity.
And something that I feel like I'm hearing you say is it's not today, it's not right now, but at a certain point, it will be like everywhere, everything all at once.
Yes.
And so it makes perfect sense that as a company like Polygon, where you're thinking about this whole stack, you have to be preparing for that moment. And then when it happens, you'll be like the first one.
Our job is to enable that. Our job is to say, hey, you're starting a new remittance company. Great. Come talk to us, get an API key, and get on with it. Go build the best consumer experience you can build. Go meet people in places no one's thought of meeting you at yet. There are all these great remittance companies. Americans are like very unfamiliar with like remittance companies, but there are all these really cool ones. The one I'm aware of is like Felix Pago. It's an incredible method for moving money around. It's all on WhatsApp.
Wow.
Right? That was like their primary kind of discovery was that that's where people were. They wanted to send money between two WhatsApp contacts because that's what their family was on and that's what they are on. And so the whole experience of the application is through WhatsApp. It's like a chat interface. Enabling like that kind of creativity is really what the open money stack should do. Because otherwise what you're doing is you're showing up at a VC's office and you're telling them all the money you need to go and hunt vendors for all the different parts of this leg, right? Ramp the money on, do consumer KYC, store the money, make it productive, land it in a wallet somewhere, find an off-ramp, figure out a way to pay it if you want to hold on to it, like add security to it. What if they want to keep it on chain? All of these things require a lot of work and sort of take us away from that core piece of consumer product building, which is build the best experience. And if we do that well, we should all be well served as consumers. We should all see this kind of like step function in consumer quality because that's where companies can really put their time.
Okay, we are coming up on time. So last question here. What can we expect to see in the second half of the year from you and your team at Polygon?
Primarily more global reach. So, from a regulated standpoint, we're really starting in the US. This is just a lot of like dollar-based stablecoins means there's a lot of ramping in the US, more penetration, in Asia, more penetration in Europe, more services available there. We're really integrating Trails, which was one of the products that we acquired from Sequence more deeply. Trails is this kind of like Google Maps of money movement online, right? It's like, I know where I'm going. I don't know how to get there. Trails will find the best way there. We're integrating that at the orchestration layer for OMS. So you can have an intent. You can just say, hey, I want to end up, over here in like this obscure chain and obscure coin, and I'm going to start with dollars, or I'm going to start with like, pesos. And Trails will do that for you.
Okay.
Trails will map it out, make sure it happens, and it will happen without you having to go to that specific interface. So ease of use, global access, costs continuing to be pressed down as we get better at this, and then increased in better programmability, which is really what you get from this API being built, all in H2. Our goal really is to be the fastest growing fintech in history. And we think we can do it, mostly thanks to our blockchain roots. And then that will enable us to turn everyone else building fintech apps into the fastest growing apps as well.
Nice. Super exciting stuff. Jon, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Elena Wagenmans, founder and CEO of Taya, Stanford product design and mechanical engineer, worked on the iPad Pro hardware at Apple, former D1 All-American who skipped the LA 2028 Olympics to do your startup. You raised $5 million in seed funding from A16Z Speedrun, which is a huge accomplishment. I know that's an incredibly competitive program. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so tell us about your startup.
Yeah, so Taiya is a private voice accessory that helps you stay in the moment. So you turn it on with a button, and I'm wearing it right now, and you speak into it, any sort of stream of consciousness, thoughts, ideas, reminders that you might have on the go, so you can be hands-free. And then on the mobile app, you can chat and search those things, and then they surface in a very magical way. Yeah.
Nice. I feel like a few weeks, or maybe it was a few months back, you guys had a video, went totally bonkers viral. Part of what went viral about it is I think it was sort of in this moment of other AI wearables that were sort of like, I imagine like a horse race basically, and like different versions of what an AI wearable looks like. Friend being like sort of the other one that was in the zeitgeist at the moment. And I think what was very clear about what you guys were building was like a sensibility around people's aesthetics, and like also like something about Friend was like, I'm going to like show you that I'm wearing an AI wearable in like a really like confronting way.
Yeah.
How do you feel like your guys' approach differs from that, and what sort of hit positively, I would say, in the timeline?
Yeah, so definitely last fall, there were so many launches coming out at the time. But we've always had the mentality of just want it to, like, let's stay human. We're not building something to replace, like your friends. And I think that's what, like Friend was marketed at, and went viral in New York, was like, it's like a person. And so we really wanted to stay like very present. How can you use AI as a tool to, help you maybe remember things better? And also, because it's screenless, stay away from the other devices. I think there's like an increasing amount of guilt maybe on being on your phone all the time, or, you pull out your notes app while you're with a friend because they recommended something to you, and then all of a sudden you end up scrolling on Instagram. And so I think people really resonated with just the human element of it, and then also obviously the form factor. I think for a wearable, it's so important to meet people where they are and what they're already wearing. People don't want to wear another gadget. There have been so many that look like, black plastic or 3D printed. It just like clearly screams tech. And so that was the core element like of our thesis, even, from day one. For the reason why I started it was just seeing all these other wearables. Just looking like gadgets, not something you really want to wear. It felt like that was an afterthought, the aesthetic part of it. And for something that, we want to integrate in your daily life, it should be seamless and actually desirable.
Yeah, totally. So choosing to not do the Olympics, that's you've got to have some conviction around what you're up to. How did you like get to that decision? What was sort of like other people's, I don't know, reaction to that around you?
Yeah, so I have been playing squash competitively since I was a kid, and I played for the Dutch junior national team. And so I could have gone and competed for the Dutch team. But I think after COVID as well, and kind of towards the end of college, I saw so many more opportunities, and I was almost like, which one would I regret more was the decision, because I knew that either one you pour your entire life into.
Yeah.
And so it was more just seeing all of these new ideas. I had already, I've always had such an interest in this intersection of hardware and software. And so it felt more FOMO not doing that in a way. And then there was also maybe a personal switch for me after, the pandemic of I wanted to kind of reinvent myself and tap into this other side that had been maybe subdued or just not explored. Because I competed in college as well, and I tried to explore as much as I could, but I think I was ready to just say, okay, I'm gonna dive fully. And in some ways, actually, startup is like a sport of its own. It's like an obsession. It's a really fun way to channel this competitive energy, and feel like every day you're iterating and making mistakes, learning from them. And there's moments where you really have to kind of pitch yourself, or everything like leads up to these like really important cycles, high pressure environments, which I enjoy being in. And so in some ways I was like, this is maybe round 2, just in a different format.
Totally. Yeah. Okay. I feel like you experience AI psychosis, or are around a lot of people who experience AI psychosis. True?
True. Very true.
What is your take on wearables?
I think that when I use AI, I'm using it in a very immersive way. Like I will literally be like, I am going to go use AI to make something right now. And I use AI almost exclusively in like a productive capacity. Like I use it to make something, like I make an app or make a tool. And I think the reason for that is precisely because there is not a frictionless, natural, easy way to integrate it into my everyday life. Like it's simply not smooth enough for me.
Yeah.
Like there is no way to use AI in a frictionless way. And I think this is like a step in the right direction, is having it always on you. And then, cause I think like the note-taking stuff is really important. Like I'm often in the case, like literally when you said go on your notes app and then get distracted, that happens to me all the time. Yeah. And the worst part is sometimes I don't even make the note. I just open my phone and then I'm just like on Twitter all of a sudden, and I'm like, what am I doing? So I can see that, like, I think I'm like waiting for the tech to catch up to a more casual use of AI for me. Cause I'm literally like too far into psychosis basically.
Yeah. I feel like, I am sort of like a late adopter around, like I just started to use, like I cook a lot, and I literally just started to use, like when you say, and it's going to do it, but when you're like, hey Siri, like set a timer, I just started to do that like literally last week. And I was like, what have I been doing? Like this is so much easier. And I do feel like behavioral change is, I'm sure, something that you guys are thinking a lot about, because it's a totally new like form factor and like way of living. And we had Mina on from
Sandbar.
That's what it is, Sandbar. And I just ran into him on the street the other day too, and he's like, we're just about to ship, and he was showing his ring. And I think like you guys have, I know different approaches, but sort of similar like thesis around it needs to, you're asking somebody to behave completely different. The form factor in which it's coming in needs to feel very familiar. Does that seem right to you? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like the reason why we went with a necklace is one, it's closest to your voice and that's coming from, it's going to get the highest quality input. But then also it's something people already wear. I fiddle with my necklaces all the time already.
Yeah.
And then it's, one thing is it's not always on. You have to turn it on and off, which I think Mina and I share that sentiment that a wearable, that's a voice, it has to be private. It can't always be on.
Yeah.
I think social stigma has been the downfall of a lot of wearables in the past.
Totally.
But like going back to your point as well, about it being like an action that you take, and the whole friction even in using Hey Siri, I think there's a lot of trust, right, in it maybe, or mistrust right now in not being able to do actions fully agentically. And so for now, I think seamless capture is really important. We want to solve that. And then over time, like make sure, okay, you can book flights, you can do other things, but right now that feels like an experiment, right? It's like a thing that, okay, let me try to do this with Claude, or let me try to do this with these other tools. Like, let me hack stuff together. It's very hobbyist, but it needs to, it's once you kind of lose that trust of it kind of going off in the wrong direction, it's very hard to regain. So it's for right now, like it's our focus is like, can we just make this very seamless capture and you can retrieve it and do the things that you'd like with it on your own. But
yeah, I feel like you guys have very successfully communicated that it's recording you, not the room.
Yeah.
And I think that that's very important to people, and people have a lot of like problems with that part of wearables. At the same time, I do feel like there's like this shift that's happening, specifically what I'm seeing around like granola, and the granola is a product that records meetings and records Zooms and like all these things and captures all this content, and then is like a really amazing product, and then distilling it and distributing it to teams. And it's very much, from what I've seen, it's not a social, it's all like work related.
Yeah.
But because I think the product is so good, people are starting to be willing to use it. What do you think about that type of product and sort of the sentiment that's shifting around that because of the productivity of it?
Yeah, I think all of those are great. I think it also gets people using voice more and realizing that it's such an easy way to interact with tech.
Yeah.
Like I've gotten so lazy with typing that almost all my texts are like voice notes and voice memos. It's just so easy. My friends will notice like, okay, this was clearly a voice memo. The grammar is like out of whack, but it's just easy. But yeah, things like whisper flow, like I use all the time, granola. But from what we've found in talking to like early pre-order customers, I think people bucket them very differently in their head of like granola, whisper flow. They're for meetings, or at least granola specifically. It's like, it's always like the multiplayer. It's so good at that. And it's kind of compartmentalized as like for work. And people want something that's really good at personal. And, you know, work things like might seep into it, but there's like a weird wall of, okay, these tools, you know, over the weekend, there are very few people that use Notion for you know, managing personal, but some people are like really averse to using all these like work tools and CRM or all these like product management tools for personal. Me. Some people are great at it. I am not organized enough and diligent enough to see that, but we really want to target like the personal. I think generally though, all the like voice AI platforms and softwares are kind of legitimizes everyone else as well. So,
totally. Rising tide type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. You are ex-Apple hardware engineer. One, very cool. Two, what do you...
the iPad, everything.
Oh my God, I'm obsessed.
I love my iPad Pro.
I'm an iPad baby for sure. What is the hardest like physical engineering problem in making jewelry that is a wearable?
Yeah. So one is just the size. Yeah, getting it small enough while still having a battery life that
I see
people, you know, can enjoy, use every single day, but not feel like that's a massive chore. And so, you know, being able to record several hours throughout the day, but then making it small enough that it's not too heavy. One thing is like, we want to be able to use Taya when you're not at your phone. So you're on a run or you're in the shower, you're out and about. You don't want to have your phone on you. You want to be a little bit disconnected. So it can't be too heavy, you know, when you're very active. So that's probably one of the biggest things. And then a classic problem in consumer hardware is, you know, metal and antennas and Bluetooth, and we use nice jewelry materials. And so making sure that you can still connect to the device from a certain range is important. So like the outside is metal, but then the inner ring is ceramic so that you can actually have that signal pass through. So there has to be non-metal elements while still it looking like a premium
piece of jewelry. Okay, interesting. And the reason you have to have non-metal elements is because you need that for like the battery and for like Bluetooth waves and stuff like that?
Yeah, exactly. For the signal, like the same way, you know, in an elevator, your phone doesn't work.
Yeah.
It turns into like a metal cage.
Yeah.
This allows basically the signal to transmit. Yeah.
Okay. And you're just about to ship pre-orders? Is that where you guys are at?
Yeah.
Okay,
so
that's
in the
exciting.
fall time frame, just coming up very soon.
Yeah.
Is when we'll ship. So we launched for pre-orders last fall, and then, you know, it's still been ongoing, but our biggest kind of target date is just shipping those.
Cool. That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's so fun. Are you like, how much have you been talking to pre-order customers to understand like the way that they're using current, like, are they Oura Ring users? Are they totally fresh to wearables? Like, I'm curious with that.
Great question. Try to talk to almost every single person.
Wow.
And so we have a pre-order like mailing list where we just are constantly like, okay, we have a new version of the app out. We have a new prototype like almost every other week or so. Like, hey, you know, we're coming to New York and would love to meet all of you. So yesterday we just like booked out the whole day so we could just talk to as many people as we could. And was really, really intentional about that from the beginning, because I felt like a lot of the wearables in the past, like even from these big tech companies, there's a pretty big disconnect between what's actually built and then what the end consumer wants. So like even at a place like Apple, you know, you have the Vision Pro, amazing engineering, like actually crazy what they were able to do in that product.
Yeah.
But then the customer doesn't want it, doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Very cool. But then again, these products end up becoming drawerware after a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So we were like, can we, you know, just try to do one or two things super well, listen to the customer from the very, very, very beginning, and also make them feel like they're bought into the process. You know, they ordered several months ago. They have to wait.
Yeah. But
at the same time, like, can they feel bought in and also feel like we're actually listening to their feedback and incorporate those things into the product? So that's definitely like huge priority for us, is just constantly like having that cycle, especially hardware is hard to fix after it's shipped.
Right.
So just getting that right on the first one is very important.
Okay.
When you're talking to users, like what use cases are they most excited about, or what are most people planning to use it for?
Yeah. So actually, going back as well a little bit. It's very popular with moms. They're so busy.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah. And, you know, they're literally like always doing a ton of things, carrying stuff. And it's just could be like random reminders. So one person walked around their house and just figured out all the things that need to be fixed in the house. Like, you know, 10, 15 minutes, they kind of just walked around and were like, oh, we need to do that. This is another home project. And it was a very active, like, okay, let me just scope around. That one doesn't necessarily have a deadline, but it's more like free flowing. There's then like the reminders category, which is like, okay, I need to accomplish something by a certain date. So those are like the two separate categories. And then a lot of female execs actually that are also very familiar with tech, and you know, they're on Twitter, LinkedIn, and that was our initial audience that we were able to reach. And a lot of stream of consciousness. So, you know, maybe 20 minutes they're out walking in their backyard or walking their dogs. This was one woman that we met a couple weeks ago. She was walking her dogs outside, left her phone, and she just talked about all the things she wanted to do for like marketing ideas for a company. And then she would copy the summary that we produced and draft an email and use Claude and her other tools and then send it off to her company. So a lot of just people that are also very creative and have a lot of ideas, just like free flowing. This is kind of like a net that captures all of it and then organizes it for you.
Nice. That's awesome.
As soon as you talked about the walk, I got excited because I do idea walks, which is where I like walk around and then I'm like stopping under like some shade to like go on my notes app like extremely regularly.
Wait,
like it's like
so cool.
half notes app, half walking. It depends on how fast the ideas are striking, but it would be much more, it would be much easier and more fruitful perhaps to use a wearable for that.
Wait, that's very cool.
Some
How do
note-taking.
you go back into your notes often? Because for me, it's like a graveyard. It's very hard to retrieve things.
Yeah, I like in the evening, I have like a session every day. Like it's part of my like nighttime thing is that I like synthesize all the notes and some other stuff. Yeah.
Whoa, really?
Yeah, well, like
that's crazy.
Because
you said that so casually, and I'm like, what?
Because for me, it's like I only have ideas. Like that's all I have. So like I don't have skills. So like if I can't get the ideas recorded, I'm over. Like, I'm on the streets for real.
Oh my gosh.
That is so funny. Okay, last question here. Are you like nervous? Are you excited? Like what comes up for you when you're thinking about like OpenAI, Johnny Ive? They're talking about not specifically, I think, wearables, but devices for AI. Like how does that make you feel, I guess?
Yeah, definitely excited more than nervous. I think it's always really cool to see. And there's been so many in the last 1 or 2 years, and hardware is making a comeback. And obviously with Johnny Ive, like the design bar would be so high.
Yeah.
So yeah, generally excited. I think it's coming out middle of 2027, last I heard. But you know, from what I've heard as well, it's kind of always on. I think the mentality of these big companies is like the more context, the better.
Totally,
Let's
yeah.
capture everything, and then we can figure out a way to act on all this data later, which is a very different mentality from us. And it's also, you know, they're a big company. They're going to try to build a solution that fits for everyone all at once. And, you know, that's not really what we're not trying to build a product for everyone right off the bat.
Totally. Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, excited to see what happens, and feel like there's a lot of general buzz and excitement, always good.
And like good for the category generally, basically.
Good for the category. But yeah, we'll see.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here. So happy to talk with you and excited for your product to ship and to hear what everybody thinks.
Awesome. Yeah, no, thank you so much for having me. This was fun.